Hey, Steve Stine from Guitar Zoom here. Thank you so much for joining me. Today what we're going to be doing is learning about what's called the CAGED chording system. We're going to learn what it is, we're going to learn a couple of really great ways that you can use it in your playing, and then we're also going to talk about some things to avoid as well. So first off, what is the CAGED chording system? Well, it's a unique system of being able to learn how to see any chord anywhere on the guitar. All right? Both major and minor chords. Now today we're going to be focusing on just major chords, but I'll make a video very soon that focuses on minor chords as well. So if you think about when you first started learning how to play guitar, you probably learned how to play, a C chord and a G chord and a D chord and, all that sort of thing. And then somewhere along the line, somebody probably talked to you about bar chords. And then you learned how you could take open chords, like an E chord, for instance, and you could move that up the guitar with a bar in front of it, right? Built-in capo we have here. And so we learned a new chord system of being able to move up and down the guitar. Well, the CAGED chord system is exactly that. What we're doing is we're taking 5 open chords, C, A, G, E, and D, CAGED, all right? And we're moving all 5 of those shapes up as bar chords. And then what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how to actually use these things. So let's just put this into play. So what I want to do here is I'm going to be building out a C chord. So I'm going to start with my traditional C open chord shape. So you'll notice that my third finger right now is on C. Okay, so there's the C shape of a C chord. All right, now what we're going to do is where the third finger is, we're going to put our first finger there. We're going to bar over that, and we're going to make the A shape. So I'm taking an A chord and I'm moving it up here. So now I'm playing the A shape on C. Now many of you will recognize this as a fifth string bar chord, right? Which is what it is. But it is an A shape that you moved up. So your C shape connected to the A shape. All right? Now where this third finger is, we're going to put our first finger across those strings. And now we're going to build out the G shape with these 3 fingers. Now, don't get too stressed out if you try and play some of these and they're very uncomfortable, because we're going to talk about this. But I want you to see now, if we look at the third finger now is on the note C. So it's a G shape, but the sound that it makes is going to be a C chord. So we have a C shape that makes C, an A shape that makes C, a G shape that makes C. Now, if we think of the word caged, the next thing would be an E shape. So where these 2 fingers are, we would bar over that and make the E shape. Now, many of you will notice this as a 6-string bar chord, which is what it is. It's your E shape. You moved E up until you got to C. So notice how you're playing C here, and here, and here, and here, right? And if we move up again, if we look at where the pinky is right here, it's on the 10th fret of the 4th string, which is C. So I'm going to bar over that right there, and then I'm going to make a D shape with these 3 fingers. Now again, kind of uncomfortable, and it's okay. It's making a C chord with a D shape. And then ultimately, these 2 fingers right here, and the pinky will play into this too, but these 2 fingers, I'm going to bar over the bottom 4 strings like that. And now I'm going to make a C shape, okay, with these 3 fingers. And now I'm starting all over an octave higher. So I have covered the fretboard with 1 chord, with the C chord, using the shapes C, A, G, E, and D. Okay? So once again, just to make sure you see that, C, A, G, E, and then D, and then it would start all over and the octaves would move up from there. Now, the thing to understand about this CAGED chording system is that some of these shapes are difficult to make, right? This is why a 6-string bar chord is very popular, because barring with an E shape is pretty straightforward. I'm not saying it's easy, but once you get it, it's pretty straightforward. A shape, the 5th string bar chord, moving the A shape up. Where when you try and move, a G chord, and then, of course, a G chord has to have a space. So when you move it up, if you're at the 6th fret, this would be at the 3rd fret. It's kind of difficult to do. So let's talk about what the CAGED system really is not for. First of all, it's really redundant to just think, well, if I wanted a C chord, I'm going to go up here and make the hardest chord, which is a G shape with a bar, right? Where I'm not creating anything new by doing this. I'm just making a C in a different spot and making it more difficult for myself. Now, could you do that? Of course you could. But the point is you're not really doing anything new. But what you could do with it is instead of trying to play this G shape, right, of the C chord, is that you visualize the shape and you choose a fragment of it. Okay, this is where we can find very quickly and very easily various chord fragments to play. So instead of just trying to play this entire shape here, what I might do is just choose this 7 and this 5 and this 5 and this 5 and play those. And maybe I do something like that. Or maybe I play these two 5s and then this 7, for instance, or this 8, excuse me. Or these two 8s. Because now what I'm doing is I'm visualizing like a G chord, how these two notes are here. I'm just visualizing those right here, you see? So maybe I play that part, or that part. Or maybe the top part. I mean, whatever it is I like. I could just grasp an idea there, just a fragment of that. So let's move up. Let's keep going here. We'll go back to our C. I'm going to go up to the 10th fret. This is where I was making the D shape. And again, not very comfortable to make this entire shape. But what I could do is just play 10, 12, and 13 as a sound. Or maybe I play 12, 13, 12. Something like that. Okay? Now, why would I be doing chord fragments? Well, I always think like if you were playing in a musical situation with another guitar player, right? Maybe you're playing in church, or maybe you're just playing whatever, you're writing some songs, or whatever it might be. And that person is already playing big, bulky chords, G and D, or whatever it might be. You might decide that you're going to play something smaller further up on the fretboard, so it's adding a different kind of chord voicing to it. Okay, so that's where this stuff really comes in handy, is trying to be able to visualize this C chord in all of these different positions. So if this person's playing C here, maybe you're up here playing those notes again. That's my A shape of my C chord right there, right? So I'm playing those 5s. And the nice thing about this is when I do a fragment like that, oftentimes I've got other fingers that are available. So I might start doing some sort of other embellishment with these other fingers I'm not using. Right? Or maybe I come up to this and use more of that kind of Jimi Hendrix-y kind of sound. Or maybe I'm up here using that. You see, so there's lots of different things that you can do by thinking about this CAGED system, but then just using a fragment of these things. Now, the big part of this whole CAGED system is that ultimately, just like you can play G and C and D and A and E all in one position when you're using open chords, you can do the same thing with this CAGED system. Because if you think about it, you're really just moving all of those open chords up the guitar with a bar in front of it. That's how the CAGED system works. And it always connects the same way. If you're on a C shape, the A shape comes next, and then the G shape, and the E shape, and the D shape, and so on. So again, it's not just about trying to play them physically, it's being able to visualize them and then choose what you want out of it. So let's take this to the next level. Let's say we were playing a chord progression that was going C to G to A minor to F. So that was our chord progression. Now, oftentimes when we approach something, we might, use the scale, whether you're using pentatonic or, diatonic. That's fine. We're still going to use that. But let's try and visualize this CAGED idea to give us some insight into some melody that we might be able to implement as well. Not just chord fragments, but maybe actually doing a little soloing with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to the 5th and 8th frets here, and I'm going to work in this position. I could do this anywhere, but for our example, this is where I'm going to be. So I want to see the C chord in this position. Well, that would be the G shape. And again, this takes a while to get used to, but that would be the G shape of the C sitting right there. Again, I don't have to play it, but as long as I can visualize it, I can extract what I want out of there, whether it's a chord fragment, whether it's maybe, I have my pentatonic scale sitting here as well. So what I could do is I could visualize the notes of the C chord and the notes of the C major pentatonic, and I could see which notes are part of the chord and which parts are not part of the chord. Right? See how those notes are part of the pentatonic scale, but they're not part of the chord. So when I go to play, I can play the pentatonic or diatonic, but because I can visualize that C chord sitting there, those are kind of the notes that I want to direct myself toward. You see, as I play. And this becomes even more important when the next chord comes up. So now I went to G next. Okay, well, let's build out the G CAGED system. So it's the CAGED system, just like before, okay? But we're starting on G, because we're playing a G chord. So this is the G shape, right? So we're still going to use the CAGED system, but we're just starting on G. So we're going to move from G to E, which is your 6-string bar chord, to the D shape, which is still the sound of G, right? And then we start all over on C, and then A, and then we're back on G 1 octave higher. So, again, it takes a little while to get used to, but if I know that, then I could take and go, okay, well, here's G, and there's G, and there's G. So that's what I'm looking for right now, is the D shape of G. And I don't have to play it, I have to visualize it, because I can see it right there. So when the C chord is being played, I can do something, and when the G chord comes up, I can go to a note that correlates with that G chord. Watch this is super cool. You might know the 6-string bar chord, E, which is the E shape of G sitting right there. So you could visualize that instead. So when the C chord's being played, and here comes G, you might do something like this. And what's really powerful about this right here is that this note is part of the G chord. And you might know your theory and you might not, but this note's part of the G chord. I can see that right there. But I can also see that it's not part of the pentatonic. Right there. So that becomes a really, really nice note to be able to accent or to target over that particular G chord. So if C's being played, you see? And then here comes A minor. Now A minor makes a CAGED system, but we're going to go into that in the next video. But I know an A minor bar chord is sitting right here, which is 5, 7, 7, 5, 5, 5. Okay, so again, I've got those notes sitting right there. And then F comes up. So right now, here's my F bar chord, which is an E shape. So the next thing would be D, and the next thing would be C. Now what I love about the F chord is that note right there. This is part of the F chord, but it's not part of the pentatonic. So that becomes a nice color note, again, that I could go to over that F. So I start trying to visualize my chords here. I've got C, which is the G shape here. Okay, I've got G, which maybe I see right here, or I can see it right here, whatever I like. And then A minor, for now I'm using just this bar chord, the A minor bar chord. And then F is sitting right there. So as these chords are being played, instead of just playing up and down the shape, I start directing myself to C, G, A minor, C. All right, so if we look at this as an example in the real world, let's look at Metallica. I could use this song, Fade to Black. So we're doing A minor to C to G to E minor. So A minor, C, G, and F, or E minor, excuse me, we want E minor, okay? So I could see E minor there. There's actually an E minor sitting here. Again, we'll do E minor later, but so if I go into this position and I think, okay, so A minor, and then C, and then G, E minor. So you can just follow those around. So there's lots of different ways that you can approach stuff like this, but the CAGED is really nice for that. Let's say you wanted to do something where maybe it was that same kind of chord progression, different song, different groove, everything like that. So you're in there thinking about, well, A minor, and then G, we could go, and then E minor, maybe I head over here, or here. Okay, again, minor we'll get into later, but I can start trying to visualize. So what's kind of nice about doing little things like that is that it's more consistent. You're not moving all over the guitar. Everything's kind of in the same spot in terms of pitch. So there's a lot of really great uses of learning how to utilize the CAGED system. All right, so good luck with your practice. Take care, stay positive. Of course, like, share, and subscribe. And do me a favor, head over to guitarzoom.com and check out our all-access membership. I sure would appreciate it, all right? So take care.